What's up, everyone? It's Bob and Chris from Join or Die podcast. Today is Sunday, June 15th. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. 2025. Sorry about that. A couple things we want to go over today. The first thing we want to talk about is our interview that we had with Knute Mellon, who's running for FOP Lodge 5 president in October or November. We interviewed him, was it last week or... I think it was last week.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Thank you to everybody who watched that. I think the last time I checked, we had 1.4 thousand. 1,500. Is it 1,500? Yeah. Oh, we had 1,500. 1,500 viewers. For us, that's like 2 million.
Watch out, bro.
So, and thanks again for everyone who did subscribe to the channel and liked it and shared it. If you guys can do that more often, that would be great. That would help us get our name out there a little bit more, and people can see this content. More people will actually watch that interview. And become informed. We do want to hit on a couple of things because after the interview, Team Roosevelt Poplar, they put out a statement claiming a couple of things that Knute and that we spoke about that they claimed was misinformation, and that was one, the
COLA.
Yeah,
they were talking about
the cost of living increase for retirees, and what was the other one that was?
And I brought up to Knute about again, it was about the retirees. I said, these guys are living. I think I said less than $1,000 a month, and I said $800 or $900 a month, and they corrected it. I got an email from the FOP, and then I think they put it on their Team Poplar Facebook website, correcting, saying it's been $1,000 for 10 years.
Over a dozen years. Like a dozen years ago, they switched it from 500.
Right. So fine, I don't have a problem saying, okay, I said 800 or 900. They're saying it was 1,000. I was off $100, give or take. I think the point still remains, and this is a question that will remain on the table. I don't think that's satisfactory. I mean, $1,000, 10, 12, whatever it was, the cost of inflation has far superseded that. Whether I'm saying it's 800, 900 or it's 1,000, I think the point is still made. It is definitely time to start talking about finding a way to give these retirees who have been, put off for a while. I mean, I'm retired now. I'm not terribly worried about it now. Maybe in 10 years, I'm going to be worried about what the cost of inflation to what my pension is. So I'm kind of not just, this isn't about me. We're talking about guys who have been retired for 15, 20 something years. And, or maybe even longer. So we were just bringing that up because the retirees, they pay their dues too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to get, the same amount that an active cop is going to get, but they're still paying their dues. And if they're paying their dues, they should be entitled to have someone, and that's what we were trying to do, be a voice for them. And then we brought it up to Knute. Now, Knute was incorrect in stating that the fire department has COLA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was lying. He was incorrect. We after he read that or whatever, we read it. But I do appreciate the fact that at least we are broaching the subject of trying to find a way to get retirees some more money. So, you can be incorrect. And the word misinformation, I mean, you can say this we were misinformed, but I mean, if you're talking about $900 versus 1,000, the point is still made. And while the fire department doesn't have COLA, that does not mean that the police department can't.
And now, Knute Mellon also did put out a video in response to Poplar's post, stating that he was wrong that they did not have COLA. He was misinformed, not misinformed, but he was wrong. He was wrong. Call it misinformation, whatever you want to do. He was wrong about that. And what I think he said in his video was that they were fighting for that. So they're fighting for it. They don't have a cost of living increase yet for their retirees either.
The fire department.
The fire department. Yeah. So here on this show, it's not. We weren't doing we're not trying to get these interviews to give out information, misinformation. We're basically giving the platform to all the candidates. So if Knute Mellon comes on here and says something, then Team Poplar says this is wrong. Great. We're not going to be the arbiters of truth. We're not. That's not what we're going to do. Somebody's going to come on and say something. The opposition has something to say about that. Great. It's great that Team Poplar put out that post. But that's also why we're trying to get him
Right.
on to do an interview so he can actually clear it up with his words, not just in a Facebook post or a social media post. And he has agreed he wants to do it. He's interested. It's us trying to narrow down a date and
Right.
time. So we're waiting on that from his team. They got a lot of stuff going on. We had the protests and riots yesterday. I actually spoke with Roosevelt Poplar yesterday. He dropped off a whole lot of food, and to their credit, the FOP did a great job. They had a, a huge amount of food for all the officers that were out there for 12 plus hours all day yesterday dealing with that crap. Which I also want to say, just on a side note, Philadelphia Police Department did a phenomenal job last night with the agitators after the peaceful protest, which was peaceful. People were walking by us and they were saying, "Thank you for your service" and everything. They were not the problem. Afterwards, of course, a bus came in with a bunch of agitators, anti-ICE, Free Palestine protest, and they tried to start their shit. We didn't go for it. They tried to take the expressway, didn't happen. Didn't last long, maybe an hour and a half or so, something like that, and then they were pretty much cleared up. So great job yesterday in the Philadelphia Police Department. Commanders, everybody did a really, really good job. Radio was nobody was being stepped on. Everything was pretty good for what it was. So I just wanted to say that. And like I said, we do have we have, I don't want to say confirmation, but we have both two other candidates who are running, Team Poplar and the other Team Coyle, who said that they were interested. Now it's just trying to narrow down the date and time.
I spoke with Coyle about a week or so ago. He said he did want to do it. It's tough because you're going away for a little bit.
Yeah.
You have vacation. I forget, he was doing something too. He did agree to come on. He was excited. He sounded excited to come on. I did talk with Roosevelt twice, Poplar, last week. And he did, when I spoke, like literally I called him. It wasn't like text messaging because we started out with text messaging. Then I called him. He said he wants to come on. I didn't hear from him for about 4 or 5 days. I called him again. He said, nope, he wants to come on. He said he's just trying to get, I believe he said John McGrody, because John was busy with arbitrations. I know John. John's a good guy. And John's also a lawyer. He does a lot with the arbitration, so he'd be a good guy to have in here for the questions we were asking about discipline.
Yeah.
So they said they're all for it. We're just waiting to kind of iron out sometime. So we will let you know if Joe Coyle comes on, or we'll let you know clearly if Poplar and Grody come on. So and as for the questions, they're going to be somewhat the same, and they're going to be different.
I think
because they're incumbent.
Well, I mean, they're incumbent, so clearly they're going to have kind of tougher questions because there's accusations against them from the other teams. There's questions that it's always going to be harder for an incumbent's interview. So we're not kind of trying to corner anybody, but we do want to get those questions. So if anybody else out there is watching this and has specific questions that they want us to ask, feel free to message us, and we'll take them all into consideration.
That's where we get the questions from. Like guys will come out and say, hey, can you ask about this? Like clearly the discipline thing is a problem because not only, I'm not just saying it because I went through that nonsense, but so many people are going through it. Friends of mine are going through it, whether it's criminal or it's just policy matter. A lot of guys are going through it. The COLA was something that a lot of the retirees and older guys were bringing up. So that's why that question came up. So it's not just us, asking these questions. People say, hey, can you ask them this? And enough people say, hey, this is a question that's coming up over and over again. It's like, well, we're going to ask that. And we leave, none of this is rehearsed. We didn't give Knute any questions. We don't give Poplar any questions or anything, or Coyle any questions. None of these are ambush questions. None of these are questions like what does that have to do with anything? These are questions like the policies. Like again, the COLA is going to come up if they come on. The discipline's going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're the incumbent, so we're going to have to ask different questions. We're not going to ask questions like, hey, why are you running? Well, you're running because you're the incumbent. So that's a question you would ask maybe Joe or Knute. You're not going to ask them. But, and again, if they want to address any rumors or allegations, we don't interrupt. Like, hey, if there was a rumor going around, I don't even know what off the top of my head what they would be, but I could just turn around and go, hey, listen, there's always, this is political season. There's a lot of mudslinging going around. Do you want to address any of it? I did get in touch with Kenny Rossiter also. I believe, though, Kenny dropped out. So when I spoke with Kenny, it sounded like he was kind of transitioning backing Knute, but he appreciated the offer. Everything was fine. There wasn't any kind of, anything like that. He appreciated the offer, but he said he's probably going to bow out, and I think he did.
He did,
and he's
he
backing
did,
Knute.
yeah.
So
he put a statement out.
I did contact him too. So again, this is fair for everybody, and we don't edit anything. We did get an email when Knute said the thing about the COLA, stating that wasn't true. Maybe we should redact it. I said, we don't redact everything. We'll correct the record. We don't redact it because, like you said, you don't want to become the arbiters of truth. And then if you're editing one guy, then God forbid someone else says something, then that guy's going to call and say, well, you edited mine, now you got to edit his. We don't do that. If we find out someone was wrong, we'll correct the record. Or the other team can, especially when it comes to debating. I don't want to be a referee. All right. It's just like, hey, this is what they said. You can say whatever you want. Hey, they said this about the COLA. Okay, he was wrong. So Knute actually owned up to it. I said $900. It was $1,000. Again, I'm approximating. Again, the point was made. So we don't edit. We don't do, because I think that just comes off kind of dishonest. So you leave it there for the record, and then people can address it as adults.
Yeah, we weren't doing that interview as necessarily backing Team Knute just for him. We told Knute this too. When Sherrod Davis, which by the way, I do want to apologize. In that interview, it seemed to be there was a connection issue on his end. So at some point at the end, it sounded like I was cutting Sherrod Davis off and went to Knute. That wasn't the case when we were shooting that. When we were shooting it live, there was we waited until Sherrod was done, and then we went to Knute. So we do apologize for that. There wasn't a whole lot I can do on that end with the time delay.
And if we do with the FOP, we have already stated to them, if they want, we will go to them and we'll do it live.
We'll do it like we're doing right now.
FOP.
So there will be no time delay. There'll be no delays or anything like that. So again, I wanted to apologize to Sherrod for that. Everybody else, that wasn't the case, and Sherrod knows that. He was there.
It wasn't even that big of a deal.
No, it wasn't that big a deal. He knows, but we told Sherrod from the beginning when he came to us, like he knew that we're not necessarily. We haven't disclosed who we're voting for or who I'm voting for, and it's basically just an open platform for anybody to come on. I mean, a lot of people have already made their decision, and that's fine. That's fine. But there's still a lot of time. So that's pretty much it. That's the housekeeping. Got anything else on that?
No.
All right. From there, we're gonna segue over to these riots that are going on in LA. Well, all over now. But LA, it started in LA with the ICE riots, the anti-ICE protesters. You want to call them that? I call them rioters. Philadelphia had one yesterday, as I touched on earlier. Peaceful. From 12 to 3, it was good. It didn't really start getting a little more dangerous until around 5:45, 6 o'clock. That's when a bus came and other people started dropping off the agitators. The people came who wanted to do damage. Didn't get a chance to do any damage. That didn't last long. However, in other states around the country, it hasn't been so easy. LA's been dealing with it for over a week now. And Portland.
Last night they broke into the ICE building, which I don't know.
So they don't have anybody guarding the castle, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why? How about this? They broke into a federal building. Why? Now the argument should be, okay, if that was wrong for J6 to break into a federal building, then I want every cell phone over there that was pinged. I want everybody locked up.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then thrown in a dungeon for 2 or 3 years, and then maybe you'll get your due process.
Yeah.
What if I say that?
Well, we're talking about Portland.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen. But as far as LA goes, they got a little bit of a conundrum going on over there with Donald Trump sending the National Guard. And now prominent Democrats, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, they're coming out and they're saying that because of that action, him sending the National Guard, it made it worse, which is completely ridiculous. If anybody believes that, you are completely naive or just brainwashed from watching too much legacy media. Clearly, he sent them when it was already bad. That's when you send the National Guard.
That's like a house fire, and you call the fire department and go, "You're going to make it worse."
Yeah, the fact that Gavin Newsom can go on TV and
he's
do an
such a
interview
snake.
and actually claim that it's because of Donald Trump's action sending the National Guard that made it worse. First of all, when the National Guard goes there, it's not like they're arresting people.
All they're doing is backing ICE.
Yes.
They are basically ICE's bodyguards to make sure ICE can do their job. The National Guard does not have arrest powers.
Mm-hmm.
The National Guard is not writing tickets. They're
Yeah.
not doing anything. All they are doing is protecting ICE so ICE can do their job. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. But they make it sound so much worse. Oh, the National Guard's coming, so they try to like stoke this fear into people's minds. Oh, we're using the military against our own people. It's not the case. The military is not there. They're not shooting anybody. They're not killing anybody. Hopefully, it never gets to that stage.
It's not Kent State.
Yeah.
I mean that's what they're trying to make it. And in '65, LBJ called the National Guard, and was it Alabama, I think, during segregation. But I think LBJ called in the National Guard when the governor, I think it was Alabama, didn't want to because of the segregation that was going on at the time, the schools and all that kind of stuff. So LBJ called in the National Guard, and nothing bad happened.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times, and again, if you haven't learned from 2020, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not like people are going, well, hold on, this has never happened before. No, it did. It happened for an entire summer in 2020. And let's be honest.
The summer of love.
Gavin Newsom and what's her name? Bass? Karen Bass. I mean, you're talking about two Class A frick-ups. I mean, look at what happened with Malibu, right? They did. Look what happened with the Pacific Palisades. All the fires out in California because of these two. One's in Africa when it's going on. The other one, you can't even turn on a fire hydrant. The firemen are saying there's never any water down here. So, I mean, this is a guy who can't run. He couldn't run a small lemonade stand, let alone the state of California. So whenever someone else has to step in after this is going on, it wasn't even like Trump did it preemptively. This went on for a couple of days, and then Trump said he's not doing it. The LAPD was given a stand-down order. Mm-hmm. We know that. All right? They were given a stand-down order, and they're allowing ICE to be attacked. They were literally throwing cinder blocks from like 30, 40-foot overpasses down the highway on people. Honestly, you should have been shot.
It was like
they should have 100% been shot because that is, I mean, throwing what's a cinder block, like 30 pounds?
I would say
25. All right, you're throwing that 30, 40
that,
feet on someone. Yeah. You're going to tell me that couldn't kill somebody? Should have been shot.
It was 100%. Like a cemetery of vehicles in that one clip too. With them when they were throwing the blocks and the rocks off the overpass. It was like all cars. I don't know if they were all disabled or why they were there, but quite a few of them you can see had damage to the windshields and everything all over the burning cars. Or as the one journalist said, I think it was ABC7. They were just people having fun watching cars burn.
Yeah,
nobody's going to top that. That's
better than fiery than mostly.
I was going to say that officially topped the one during 2020 where the guy was literally in front of a burning building behind him, cowering like this, and then saying that it's fiery but mostly peaceful. Like that topped it. Nobody's going to ever top that. Just people having fun. And he said that the National Guard being sent in is going to agitate those people who were just trying to have fun watching cars burn. He said that on live TV.
It's absolutely insane.
And
he puts his cops in these positions where they can't fight back, they're just punching. I mean, shame on the cops. They should have just I mean, again, this is what happens when the mayor's allowed to pick a police chief. The police chief is always going to do what the mayor says because they don't want to lose their job. We saw it here with Outlaw, that spineless twerp. All right, we saw it. You see it right now in L.A. with Bass and whoever the LAPD commissioner is.
But now you can also compare the commissioner that we have now compared with the mayor that we have now. This mayor is way more law and order.
Who, Parker?
Yes.
I don't think Parker's that bad.
Way more law and order than Jim Kenney was. And
Kenny was drunk
and our current commissioner is way more law and order and has his wits with him.
Yeah. I mean, Bethel. He gets the job.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be critical of him where I have to, but I think he gets the job. Mm-hmm. Parker's also, I mean, he's working for a mayor that I think gives a damn. So I think I mean, I'm sure she has her problems. No one's perfect. But I haven't really heard anybody complain much about Parker.
No, so
compared to Kenny.
Yeah. I'll compare it.
Kenny was an absolute. He was a drunken buffoon.
I don't even want to. I feel like she's just in a whole other category.
No.
She
can't spell well.
Was.
All right, that's no crime.
She's never going to live that down. I think she should just own that. Too.
She did.
Just own it.
She did
wear
own
the shirt. Wear the shirt. Wear the ESLGS.
I think she did.
Wear the shirt.
I think she did make fun of herself. Would give you a good idea. Like if you can make fun of yourself, that's pretty cool. But I mean, no, I think Parker's trying to do a decent job.
I think so.
Bethel. I mean, he's a Philly guy. He gets it. I mean, is he perfect? No, but I mean, if you have to pick Kenny and Outlaw over Parker, I mean, you're not going to pick Kenny and Outlaw over Parker.
Absolutely
And that's
not.
probably why I was able to keep order yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, man. I was proud of the Philadelphia Police Department yesterday. All ranks, everyone. I was very proud of it. Everybody did a
They don't
phenomenal
want that
job.
noise.
I can't say it more than that. I can't say it anymore, man.
No.
It was just great, and I was proud to be a part of the department yesterday and actually watch and listen to everything that was going on through the radio, and everybody did a great job. As far as I know, I don't think there were any injuries. I don't remember anything coming over the air.
Well, just juxtapose 2020 versus yesterday.
Yeah.
How fast it was wrapped up yesterday
Yeah.
compared to what they allowed. Because it's like anything, you let it fester, they're just going to keep pushing the envelope, and it becomes LA or Portland.
And I think that's a lot of the positions in these Democrat-run cities. I don't want to say Democrat. I'm going to say far leftist-run cities. Portland, LA. They still have this this mode of attack of don't attack, just let it go. Eventually, it'll phase out. Yeah, but when you do that, all that does is enable more of that to come because we can go to Portland and just burn stuff
and that's
up,
the
and
difference.
nothing's going to happen.
Kenny was a leftist progressive. Parker is a Democrat.
She's more moderate.
That's what I mean. She's more of a moderate than you know. But I mean, that's the difference. Like at some point, you got to go. I'm not going to let my city burn like it did in 20.
And that's what she stands for. And I fully back her for it. She's so far. I have very very little complaints about her. I think she's good, law and order, and she says what she has to say, and she tries to do. She doesn't just say. She tries to act on what she's she's actually trying to do what she ran on.
Yeah, I haven't heard too many people.
No.
So I don't think I've heard anybody really complain about her.
Yeah,
compared to how it was before.
Yeah.
So,
but that to get back to LA, I have a sister. She lives in California. She's very familiar with LA, and Bakersfield born, lived in LA for a long time, worked out in LA. And she text messaged me yesterday, "How's Philly? Are you guys okay?" And I told her, I was like, not for nothing, but we should probably go to LA and teach your guys how to do what we just did, because what I just noticed was it should be the gold standard.
In some fairness, though, LA is kind of the hub for that nonsense. I would say LA, Portland, New York.
I mean, here's the thing too. It started there, so they have bigger crowds there. They have a much bigger Mexican population there.
Correct.
Obviously. So you got to take that into account. That they have more going on. It's going on for multiple days.
That's why, again, you got to, as soon as it starts coming up, you got to get in there and take care of it.
So we kind of had the advantage in that situation. We knew it was coming. LA was kind of hit by surprise. They arrested people who they should have arrested, by the way. People started freaking out. It caused a disturbance. And here, this is where we are now with LA and all over the country. But Portland, you knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming. It was advertised all over the country. No King's Day, which I thought was back in 1776. I thought we had no King's Day. Donald Trump even came on. He had a phenomenal point. I wish I wanted to see if I don't want to waste time. When he was like, no kings, I was like, well, a king wouldn't have to go through what I have to get a law passed.
I wish I was a king.
Wouldn't have court stopping me. Yeah, like every step that I go and try and like implement my policies, a king wouldn't have a court suing me and doing all kinds of shit. But yeah, I don't know. As far as the riots go, I don't know how much longer it's going to go on.
No, I'm hoping that's kind of
him. So I want to get back to Newsom and Trump. So what had happened was Donald Trump sends in the National Guard. They're there for I think 7 days or so something like that. Of course, Gavin Newsom sues. Now they sue to take the National Guard and the Marines out and just leave the LAPD, because they said the LAPD can handle it. Meanwhile, they're saying no, we can't.
Yeah,
clearly they
especially
can't.
when you're told
they're
to stand
undermanned.
down.
Yeah, you're told to stand down. That's them handling it. You're actually suing to take help away. Not even help as far as like helping with the arrest of individuals, because like we said, the National Guard doesn't do that. It's just extra manpower in case. It's just extra guards. It's bodyguards, basically. You're actually suing to take that out of your state, to let this chaos fester and get worse, because it's not going to get better. It's not like everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, we can just stop protests. The National Guard's gone, because they were doing it before the National Guard got there.
Right.
So it makes no sense whatsoever. This guy's going to be running for president, so everybody should remember this.
Just look at California. If you want the country to be LA, that's what you're going to be.
I think it's
he's
funny.
not going to win because
well,
all you have to do is play.
I
mean, well, California will go for it, but all you have to do is just play a tape of the Malibu fires and this. All you have to do.
I think it's really early, a lot of time for that, but I don't think he'll win the Democratic the Democrat vote.
No.
I don't think he'll get past the primary.
He's a small white rich kid. He's everything they hate. They say they hate.
Yeah, all you got to do is just run ads of him in the French Laundry during 2020 when nobody else was allowed in restaurants. Everybody had to wear a mask, and he's sitting there tightly, like as close to people as we are right now when they were trying to implement that bullshit 6-foot rule that wasn't backed by any science. Were you going to say something?
No.
No. I think it's funny. I want to make. I'm seeing comments on people, and it's hilarious how oblivious people are. People are comparing this to January 6th when Donald Trump brings the National Guard here, but they're saying stuff like, "Oh, well, how come he didn't do it for January 6th?" He tried. He actually did it. He was trying to do
Pelosi,
it.
Pelosi got caught on a hot mic saying,
I know.
"This is my fault."
You're complaining that he bypassed the governor here and put in the National Guard. People are saying that it's unconstitutional. Yet when he tried to do it the constitutional way, the mayor and and Pelosi denied National Guard to come in for January 6th. Clearly because they knew it was going to happen. Hopefully all that shit comes out. Hopefully something comes out.
Pelosi, you have her in the car with her daughter, and Pelosi's saying, "I take full responsibility for this." Mm-hmm. Yeah, no shit, because he said this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, "Oh, he planned this." It's like, who plans? It's like planning to commit a bank robbery, but giving the cops a heads up, like, "Hey, I'm probably going to get here at 2, so maybe be here like 1:45." And then it makes no sense. Like he tried to do it the right way, and I still don't think he did it the wrong way. This way, they're saying it's, and then that the courts are I don't know. The courts, I think it's being appealed or whatever. But
so it's being appealed right now. I think it's. I can bring up an article and I'll bring up the video of Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, this was 2 days ago, talking about how he's regaining control of the National Guard and he was going to not wipe him out, but take him out of the state and they're going to go back to resume the normal duties. But then there's an article that was a day ago saying that now that's an appeal. So right now I think there's a stay and they're staying, the National Guard can stay there until I think Wednesday or something.
Now, hopefully, we'll see what's going on. I mean, it's been a couple rainier days or whatever here, so I'm not expecting more problems here in Philly. Hopefully, this just ends over in LA or it starts tapering off. So by the time the National Guard has to leave, it's already done. Hopefully, that's it. But
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of rain here. I don't know about over there.
No, I'm just saying. I'm hoping it just kind of tapers off, like the people start tapering out.
Well, that's what they hope. That's their whole game plan, and that's what just hopefully it just calms down and it ends on it.
But you got to squash it. It's not going to end on its own. You got to show.
No, you're going to have to show some force.
If you have the National Guard till Wednesday, then you need to be out there today, tomorrow, Tuesday, enforcing this. So we'll see. But
that was going on the riot. So you want to show this video of him talking, or do you want to just not waste time? Listen to this moron.
Let's hear a greasy liar? Go ahead.
All right. So I think it's like a 4-minute video or a 2-minute video. We won't watch the whole thing, but let's get the gist of it. So I'll pull it up, and this is Gavin Newsom basically, and I think this is from 2 days ago, talking about his bullshit.
The Constitution sets forth limits. The president is a constitutional officer. The President of the United States works under the Constitution. And so we are very gratified by this decision. His section that he asserted the authority to overrule the objections of a state governor, clearly in the 36-page order, those cornerstones that he claimed or asserted were not met. Section 12, 406, clearly there's no invasion, there's no rebellion. It's absurd. I want to make this clear. The national...
Yeah. Now, hold on real quick. If there's no rebellion, what is fighting against an agency that you do not agree with?
Waving your country's flag. You had how many flags? It looked like the Olympics. You had how many flags being waved down there?
So, and that's another thing. You escape a country that is so bad that you say, but you're waving the flags here. Can you imagine going over to Mexico and waving the American flag and talking shit about Mexico, what would happen?
Federales would get you. Federales ain't going to take that.
All right, let's see what else this
Pay them
guy
off
has
at the
to say.
cartels.
National Guard will come back under my authority by noon tomorrow. The National Guard will be redeployed to what they were doing before Donald Trump commandeered them.
Commandeered him.
The National Guard will go back.
He commandeered a service that he has. That he's the chief, right? He's the boss of the military, as far as I right. I thought so.
To border security, working on counter-drug enforcement and fentanyl enforcement, which they were taken off by Donald Trump. The National Guard will go back to working on what we refer to as the rattlesnake teams, doing vegetation and forest management, which Donald Trump took them off in preparation for wildfire season. The National Guard, men and women, will go back to their day jobs, which include law enforcement, that he took them off the job. I will work with anyone to advance the interests of 40 million Americans that I happen to represent here in.
I'm done with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. He is such an 80s villain. He has the look, and he still talks like an 80s politician. Like, no one's buying that rehearsed kind of, how he has that starting and stopping the way. It's Biden did it too, and he's usually these old school. I mean, he's younger, but that's that old school politician, slick back, greasy snake oil salesman kind of. I don't think I'm making my point about how I feel about the guy, but no one's buying it. And to think he's taking the National Guard. And some of these people have jobs in law enforcement. So now they're going to go back in law enforcement. And if they're in California, they're going to go back in law enforcement under your command and do nothing. That's why he took them off of law enforcement, put them back in the National Guard. So now it's under his command so they can actually do something. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard to figure out. And this guy has never accomplished anything. He is just a failure. Everything he touches failed.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm done with that guy.
That's the riots. I hope everyone stays safe out there. We had a couple incidents around the suburbs of Philly too. Nothing crazy from what I heard, but it just seems like on this side of the country, it's handling it a lot better.
Yeah,
especially compared to 2020, how they were handled all over the country. So I'm going to give respect to new politicians, new commissioners, new chiefs of police who are now in the seats and are handling this situation a hell of a lot better than it was handled back in 2020. Good job to them. Hopefully other people around the country take note and, they can learn from it. But again, protests, fine. You have a right to protest. I probably disagree with 95% of the times people are protesting what they're protesting for, but you have a right to do it. Do it peacefully. Nobody has any issues with it. Trust me. I can tell you, police are not looking for the agitators. They're not going out there to bash heads. They don't want to. If they can just deal with a peaceful protest every day, going to work, that's fine. We don't have a problem with it. Nobody's wanting to go through the shit that people went through in 2020. And that's pretty much all I have to say on the riot part. You got anything else to add to that?
No, we're going to move on to the Israel
bombs over.
Yeah, and now I'm going to go against Trump. Over what is it?
Well, let's start why Israel. The reason why they bombed Iran to begin with.
Because he doesn't like them. I mean, I'm no fan. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an Iranian sympathist. They can be wiped off the map for all I don't care. But again, we are getting dragged into a war. We're always getting dragged into Israel's wars. Mm-hmm. Always. And that's not anti-Semitic. It has nothing to do with Jewish people. It has to do with the government of Israel. They know they have us, the big dog behind them. And at some point, that big dog's got to walk away and go, you know what? I'm not getting involved in this. You can't sit there and say, hey, we're going to have peace talks tomorrow. And then that night, launch a missile into, and I'm not saying that the people they targeted are good people. They're awful. But, how many people, the doors of this country have been open for 4 years. Mm-hmm. All right. How many millions of people came in? How many out of those 10 million that came in are probably Hamas supporters or some kind of some kind of terrorist,
Some
anti-American,
kind of anti-Western
right,
civilization
that are sleeper cells that are sitting here waiting to be dispatched, and then when something like that happens, they're not given a phone call. And I would not be surprised in the next couple of weeks something happens because of this. And again, why? What does Israel do for us? Why are we always involved? Like Ukraine, I don't give a shit. I don't care. This could have easily stayed out of that. Why do we have to get involved with Ukraine? They've never given us a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is more of a headache than it is an ally. Sorry, and this has nothing to do with Jewish people. All right, so before no, it has nothing to do with Jewish people. Trust me, I hate my own. I love my country. I hate my government. So you can hate someone's government and have nothing to do with the people. It's just, again, it just seems low down to sit there and say we're going to have peace talks or we're going to try to come to a referendum tomorrow night, and then later that day you put a missile through someone's window. And it's like, at some point Trump's got to say, I didn't authorize that. I don't want anything to do with it.
So do you not? How do you feel about their reasoning behind it, which is they had information that Iran was building a pretty significant nuke.
We've been hearing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
How fucking long does it make them make a nuke?
Well, it takes a while when you don't have the resources.
They are the big, again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm taking Iran's side. Like I said, you can wipe.
No, I know.
Iran,
I know what you're saying.
What is it? The Ayatollahs.
But it definitely makes it harder to when people are out there, politicians are out there trying to make their case for backing Israel. Sure as hell makes it hard, and I can see how it could deter people from that side and start making them go to the other side, the anti-Israel side. Well, not anti-Israel, but kind of like the isolationist view. Like, why are we getting involved?
It's not even.
Well, I mean, he did say that he's not deploying any troops, right? It's not like he's getting involved in it right now.
No, but there's a difference between, again, all right, so.
But we are helping defend missiles.
So if some guy's throwing rocks through my window and you're pulling up giving him the rocks,
yeah,
you're just as guilty.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
We're enabling.
Right, you are supporting it. So it's one of those things where Israel's fighting two wars at once, okay? First of all, I'm going to say something, I don't care. I absolutely 110% believe the Israeli government knew about October 7th and let it happen. I absolutely believe Netanyahu knew about October 7th, let it happen, because he's been wanting to blow Palestine off the map for a long time. Again, I'm not sticking up for the Hamas and all that, but I 100% believe he used his own people's cannon fodder, so he had to catch his belly so he can go into there. They have the best national intelligence in the world. Better than ours. The best in the world. They let it happen on an Israeli holiday. I think their biggest holiday. Okay, that's like their biggest holiday, or one of their biggest holidays. Like, you wouldn't think to have a better ear to the wall on that day. And then when it does happen, it takes 6 hours in Israel, which is the size of New Jersey. It takes 6 hours to respond. Bullshit. I'm just sick of them. I don't like them. I think
if that's true, people, do you think that'll ever come out?
No, probably because of all the, how many people they probably have on wires doing something. So I think this is why the United States always gets tied in with them, because I believe, because they're such a great intelligence agency, they're also weasels, and they also probably have so much dirt on our politicians that's why anytime something happens, they just go, okay, fine. Look, I'm just tired of them. They're that friend that always is picking a fight, or maybe not even picking a fight, but hey, dude, just stay out of that neighborhood. And they have to walk through, get into a fight. Now I have to go over there and back them. At some point, you got to go, dude, you're on your own. You're on your own, because sorry, Israeli lives are not worth American lives. Sorry. I'm not saying they're bad.
I don't think anybody will disagree with that.
No, but as an American, guess what? If as an Israeli turned around and said, "I don't think any American life is worth an Israel," sure, that's your job to say that.
Yeah,
as an Israeli, so
you should say
bad.
that. Yeah.
And I can totally sympathize where they live in a region where everyone wants to blow them off the map. Guess what? Fucking move. I don't know what to tell you. Move. I don't care. Like, that's not my problem.
Yeah,
that's not my problem. Like, even you got to start fighting your own battles. Or again, why is this always our responsibility?
The complexities of that war that's been going on for thousands of years I think it's I don't know. I think there's more to it than just that. I think there's more to it.
So why are we involved? There is more to it.
No,
Why are we involved?
Well, I'm not saying what you're wrong. I don't doubt for 1 second that the Israeli government has dirt on our politicians. I don't doubt for 1 second that everything in the Epstein files, like the reason why that hasn't been released is because there's so much dirt on our politicians and other powerful people. And I don't any doubt that people have dirt on politicians because they're scumbags. I have no doubt about that. I just think that it's kind of hard to pick a side like that.
I support Israel's right to defend itself.
Yeah.
But if the United States is kind of mediating for peace negotiations and then you go over our head and throw a rocket through a window, brother, guess what?
Definitely makes it harder. Definitely makes it harder.
Even you want my help or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that,
yeah.
And I believe Trump actually came out and said that they knew that was going to happen. Or there were no talks. So he said something where it was like, so there were no talks or they had no plans to actually negotiate.
Iran or
no
Israel,
United States. Something happened. I forget the exact words, but it was kind of like when I heard it, I'm like, so there was supposed to be a peace talk, but they had no intentions of. So basically, if the peace talks were supposed to be, I forget the days here. Let's say the peace talks were supposed to be Saturday, and then Friday they launched a missile through the window. So
you're kind of almost on target because they was trying to get Iran to come back to the table today. Right. Today he was actually trying to get them to come back.
Right. Whatever the day was. So if they were supposed to sit there and have talks on Saturday, and Friday they launched a missile, and then the United States comes out and basically, yeah, we knew they were going to, we knew they were going to do that. It's like, well, if I'm Iran, why would I trust you? Not that again, fuck Iran. I'm not saying I'm supporting them. It's just like, bro, you can't sit there and say we're going to have an honest. It just gets to a point where it's like you can't sit there and say we're going to have peace negotiations, and then you lure them in one area to put a rocket through their window, and then go, well, maybe we can have peace negotiations now. It's like, dude, even you're in the war or you're not. And my point of view is to look at Israel and go, you guys are on your own. All right, go talk to Zelensky. He'll tell you exactly how you are. You're on your fucking own.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, if we just told Russia, if we just stayed out of this whole thing from jump with Ukraine and Russia, how much more leeway would we have with Putin to get out of BRICS? All right. Maybe if we called Putin and said, hey, listen, we're not getting involved in this, but you can't be in BRICS, or we are going to get involved in this. And we don't want you negotiating with China. And Iran, because they're in BRICS, and Iran also backs Russia and they're kind of buddy-buddy, you can't do that. So we would actually have some negotiations with Russia when it comes to our enemies like China and Iran, as opposed to now everybody's against us because we have to get involved for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Or now we have to get involved with Jerusalem. We have to get involved with Israel. Why can't we just stay at the back and go, you know what? America first. And if we have to sit here.
Well, that was supposed to be the platform.
And then this is why I'm kind of going after Trump now. Yeah. You're saying America first, but.
I've actually seen quite a few people. Who were Trump supporters, Trump backers.
No, I'm tired of it.
I mean that's
you can't.
If you're honest, you will criticize when criticism is necessary, and you'll praise when praise is necessary.
Right.
And I respect people who actually do that and don't just.
I think he's doing good with the riots by calling in the National Guard. I think he is failing miserably by saying it's America first. Shit, no new wars. There is no way you can say no new wars, but we have Israel's back.
That was his last.
We are going to be in a war every day.
That was his last. I feel like we've been in a war my whole life. We're always involved.
And for him to get in and have the hubris to sit there and think, I'll bring peace to the Middle East. Look, you tried. I get the Abraham Accords. You did a decent job.
Your first term.
Yeah, you tried. After October 7th, and again, I absolutely think that was an inside job. You are not going to get.
Well, inside job meaning they knew about it, just didn't let it happen.
Yeah, I think they allowed it to happen. I think they let that slip through the wire.
That's not the first time I heard that theory, and if it's true, it's absolutely disgusting.
Well, what makes more sense that the greatest intelligence agency in the world fell asleep, somehow wasn't available for 6 hours after an attack on a big holiday, or they knew it, let it happen, so he would have a reason to go after him. I think Netanyahu's. I think he's a bit of a scumbag, and I think he would absolutely use his own people to get sympathy, so he had a reason to go after them. And again, I'm not backing Hamas. Clearly, I'm not backing Palestine.
Well, but it's like but if that's
two things can be wrong at once.
All right, so if that's the case, then the reason why he attacked, why he launched missiles into Iran wouldn't make sense because that is supposed to be preemptive. Because they allegedly have this, they're creating this huge nuclear weapon and it's a threat. So his reason for doing that was to stop that. They hit they hit nuclear sites. That was his reason for that. So why would he preemptively do that to stop it, but let October 7th happen?
We were talking about two totally different entities too. We're talking about Iran,
Yeah,
which is the biggest state-sponsored terrorist organization, and they've been. Then you have Palestine, and the Gaza Strip with Hamas and Hezbollah. I mean, these are different entities. So, but I also think I'm not 100% saying that they allowed October 7th happen and then they forethought, well, we'll go to war with Iran later.
Mhm.
I think they're just on a roll.
Mhm.
I think they're on a roll. I absolutely think that they want to wipe Palestine off the map.
Maybe it's kind of like the U.S. Oh, we're going to attack Afghanistan.
And then we're going to go to Iraq.
Next thing you know, we're in Iraq.
Yeah, we're in Iraq.
Yeah.
So exactly.
Yeah, you know what?
That's a perfect.
And oddly enough, there's conspiracy theories that 9/11 was an inside job, and we knew that was going to happen.
I've talked to some people who I work with who work in the government, and the argument from them is they were getting a lot of stuff across the wire that something was going to happen. They just didn't know when and where. But
maybe that's the same.
I find that kind of hard to believe when like Alex Jones predicted this. He said they're going to fly planes. Remember, he said they're going to fly planes in the world.
Yeah, but you can say a whole lot of shit. You can say a whole lot of shit. Alex Jones is a little like.
But he nailed that one.
Yeah, but you can say a whole lot of shit, but when one thing hits the wall and sticks,
but what makes you pull that one out, though?
I don't know. Did you just say a whole lot of shit?
All right, then what happened when Rumsfeld went on September 10th and was talking about $3 trillion was missing? And it happened to be in the accounting. It was something in the Pentagon, and the plane that hit the Pentagon just so happened to be right where all that information was.
So we're going. Adam should be here for this.
But look, whether you believe it or not, our government is shit.
Mm-hmm.
Israel's government's shit.
I think most people.
The difference is we're reading Israel. It's like they don't realize who they're talking to. We've read this book. We know how it ends. You're just changing the countries. Instead of Afghanistan and Iraq, now it's Palestine and Iran.
Palestine's not a country.
Well, the Gaza Strip, the locations, Gaza and Iran. So it's just stay out of it. Just stay out of it. I'm just done.
I mean,
I gotta criticize Trump. If I'm gonna back him, I also have to be critical.
Absolutely.
You just seem like a sycophant.
Absolutely. And I'm with you to a point with the isolationists. I am sick and tired. I think probably most people in the country are sick and tired of us getting involved in every single foreign war. Why do we have to be the world's military? Like, why do we have to be? I don't understand it. It's very annoying. It definitely doesn't help the whole America First argument. It's not.
No,
helping.
This is not America First.
No, it's not helping at all. But what can you do other than to make a podcast and bitch and complain about it?
Well, don't know. He could put a rocket through my patio window.
Yeah, you're going to be the next target.
So,
anything else on the Israel?
No. I got to call my Jewish lawyer and let him know I'm not mad at him. Yeah, this has nothing. Like I said, this has nothing to do with. When I worked in my other job, I worked around a few Jewish people, and we talked about October 7th, and they get it. You can have your opinion,
but what you're saying
has nothing to do with Jewish people. It has to do with your government.
If anything,
dragging in our government.
If anything, what you're saying, it's even worse for the Jewish people because they were basically pawns. If what you're saying has any truth to it, they were pawns, and it's disgusting.
Sure. And listen. I was the first to condemn Jewish kids who are trying at Columbia or Harvard, and the little scumbags on the campus weren't letting the Jewish kids in school. They should have been locked up in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
They should have been locked up in a heartbeat.
I don't think anybody who watches this is actually going to call you an anti-Semite.
But you got to call balls and strikes fair. There's times where Jewish people are being picked on. You got to go, no, that can't happen. These people are allowed to be here. You can't pick on people because of their religion. And then there's times where I can turn around and go, I'm not picking you because of your religion. I'm picking on the government over there because they're dragging in our country.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with your religion. It has to do with your government. Just like I love my country, I can't stand my government.
I think we should have Ben Shapiro on the show.
I stopped listening to him and Levin. I had to stop listening to because I'm like, you guys went from, and I get it. They're very they're practicing Jewish people.
Mhm.
I get why they have a little bit more vested in it, but at the end of the day, if we go to war with Italy, I'm an American.
Yeah.
You know, is the price of rigatoni going to go up? I don't know. Am I going to have a hard time getting olive oil? Maybe that sucks. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting dragged into a war for Italy.
Now I'm with you.
That's just how it is.
I get it.
So
I get it. All right. What else you got on there? What's on that list? Is that it?
I was kind of close a couple episodes ago. We were talking about terrorism and some of the stuff I was receiving and hearing about where at some point they may start using terrorism in like first responders, dressing up as first responders. Now, I don't want to say this was necessarily terrorism, the colloquial term of terrorism, but what was in Minnesota, a guy dressed up as a cop and then killed two.
Was it one or was
he
it
killed two and then
no.
two
Was
more.
it just one doer? Offender?
I believe so.
Okay.
It sounds like there's a manhunt for one guy.
Okay.
That's
okay.
from what I remember. But he was dressed up as a cop.
Yeah.
Killed two, shot two more. They're alive, but two are dead. Again, kind of. I was just saying that, but I was talking about on a grander scale.
And they were dressed up, I think, like ICE agents.
I don't remember.
I think that's what I think.
You're saying they were two.
Well, I thought there was two. I could be wrong.
I thought it was one because the manhunt's one. I don't remember them saying that they have the other guy. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I'm saying they because I'm trying to be politically correct. It's
They, them?
25. I don't know how they identify.
Well, good. He gets shot. It's gonna be a worse work. But
Minnesota, right?
Minnesota, yeah, it was
Can't spell.
yeah, you can't spell for shit.
Minnesota. There was two reps, right?
Yeah, I think they were. I can't remember. They were just Minnesota politicians.
See if it'll come up. Rep Melissa Hortman, her husband assassinated, and Senator John Hoffman and his wife. Let's see. Let's pull it up. Melissa Hortman.
Targeted shootings.
Oh, you know what? I guess
Yeah.
they don't know who it was, so I guess I don't know.
No, there's a pic. They have a picture of the guy.
Oh, they do. Okay,
yeah, they have a
okay.
picture of the guy. I think they know.
Okay,
who
by
he is.
someone impersonating a police officer earlier
Yeah.
Saturday morning, authorities have identified the suspect as a
There
57-year-old
you go.
Vance Bolter.
Yeah, so they
Who
got
lives
his
at
name.
large.
Yeah, so they got his name and all that. But whatever. I was just saying because as soon as I heard he dressed up as a police officer, I was like, well, again, not full blown terrorism like on the scale I was thinking of, but
Yeah.
I mean that's a perfect example of well, that's going to start now. So
basically, keep your heads on the swivel, especially the politician means you guys have targets on your backs. And I mean, I'm not saying it's because of you, but this is what happens when rhetoric and constant rhetoric is being spewed from people's mouths, like politicians' mouths on TV all the time. It's going to wake up a sleeping giant, and it's scary. It's scary. It's scary. I wish the rhetoric can be calmed down, but it's been going on forever. It's just a different time now.
Mhm.
People are taking this. I mean, and forever people have taken rhetoric serious, and you're always going to have that one person who's going to flip out, or those couple people who are just it's going to flip that switch in their head, and they're going to go do damage. And you coming on after the fact and saying, "Oh, we do not support violence." Clearly, you don't support violence.
we just
Or at least
stoked it.
you
We
said,
just
yeah,
stoked
you
the
just
fire
stoked the
for it.
Yeah, you just stoked the flame of it, and nobody will ever admit that what they said causes, unless it's from the other side.
Well,
If Donald Trump,
they're
said
not going to
something,
admit it because
then-
they would leave them open for litigation.
Yeah,
So they're not going to admit it.
it's sad. It's sad. Well, that's all we got for this week. We'll keep everybody in tune when we have these interviews set up for Team Popular and Team Coil.
Yeah, we can send out a notice. We can just put it like under the community notes. If we were going to find something, if we're getting a date, we'll put it under the notes or something like that. And if we do a show next week, then we'll figure it out as we go. But we'll give a heads up.
Next week, I will not be out. I will
That's
be
right.
in the Bahamas.
All right, so maybe in 2 weeks then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, everybody stay safe. Enjoy your Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all dads out there. Like, subscribe, and share this video and share last week's interview if you haven't already. And we'll see you next time.